So, let me extend greetings and welcome to most of the people here for the inaugural State of the Campus Address and Campus Conversation. This is a very exciting occasion as we begin the 2013-14 academic year. We expect this event will become an annual event in the week prior to just before the beginning of classes in the future. We expect this event will set the tone and context for our work here, both staff and faculty, and give us a hint of what is on the horizon. Geez, I find it intriguing that my 30-plus years with Indiana University that I don't ever know when expectations or conditions have ever been constant and immutable. In fact, change seems to be something we're confronting on a regular basis, and it's a challenge for higher education in general. But it's much nicer when we are the sources of change. But today there are so many external forces weighing in on what we should be doing and how we should be doing it that it makes our work much more difficult. Navigating that landscape is of the possible changes a major challenge. But we need to be prepared to appropriately respond to those forces and seize the opportunity to improve what we do. Just yesterday, I read in the newspaper, President Obama's new agenda to combat rising college costs was announced. There is no question that college is a bargain at IU. It's not the $50,000 a year university. Ivy Tech is cheaper than we are. So should cost be the arbiter of student decision in higher education, or are there campus cultures and environments that play a role in what students should choose? I like to think so. But we will need to demonstrate better student outcomes with broader recognition for our successes. A college rating system has been proposed that was also announced with the new agenda that would reward those institutions that have better output. That means faster graduation, affordability, linking student age in these campus rankings, preferential amounts of Pell Grants to colleges that do a better job, and even the earnings of our graduates when they leave our university are all going to be factors that lead to a rating system. For me, that's a very scary thought. All of these ideas even further complicate our choices. Today's event will put in context what we are, what we should emphasize, and what we should add new, what we should continue to do that keeps us both productive and robust, all leading to improved student success. We'll hear from three presenters first today who will comment on their perspectives and possibilities for students, staff members, and faculty. Chancellor will complete the presentation part of our program. Our first presenter will be Larissa Garfield, President of the Student Government Association. She was here moments ago and should be coming up. She's a SPIA junior in the College of Health and Human Services. Her major is criminal justice. She was born in Romania and just this year became a U.S. citizen. So congratulations. Larissa will deliver the student comments on our conversation theme today. Larissa.
Hello, everyone. I would like to thank Dr. Lewis for asking me to speak here today. I feel honored and blessed to share this moment here with you all. Look around. Today you are surrounded by chancellors, directors, deans, professors, students, secretaries, and staff. But look a little deeper into who we've become and what circumstances have brought us here. And you will see that we have become a family, the IUN family. Google defines family as a group consisting of parents and children living together in one household. Ladies and gentlemen, IUN is our household. Professors are our parents, and students are the children. What we all were once, and what all of us are still today, is a student. We know by our demographics here at IUN that we are a non-traditional regional campus. Last fall in enrollment, we had 67% of the whole enrollment was female and 33% was male, and over half of those were full-time. We have students from all over the country, from different nationalities and ages with different interests and desires, coming together under one house to educate, inspire, and to build one another up. I have learned from my own experience that parents and professors have much to teach us. But as time passes and technology surpasses our older generations, we have found that we are teaching them a few things. My mom, for example, I'm teaching her how to use her iPad so she can Skype with my grandmother back home in Romania. I believe that the cycle of learning never ends. We never stop being students, even after we graduate and get our diplomas. Tom Baudet once said, in school you are taught a lesson and given a test. In life you are given a test that teaches you a lesson. I believe both of these are unwavering truths. But despite the challenges that life brings us, we end up finishing strong. You matter. Every word you say, every day you wake up and you go to work, every test you take, every decision that you have made and you will be making is all tied up into this. Every student matters. Every one of them matters. I have learned that we are all students and we all be students till the day we die. And whether you are 65 years old, 35, or 22, you will learn something new every day. Let your time here push students and peers alike to become better and to strive towards higher altitudes. Engage with them. Teach them what you wish you would have known when you were their age. Inspire them to greatness and believe in them because you will make a difference. So, spend your life encouraging students you come in contact with. Open your ears to the people whom you are surrounded by. And live a life of example because somebody is looking up to you. And in closing, I would like to thank everyone for being here today, and I look forward to working with you guys this year. Thank you.
Thank you, President Dragu. Doesn't that have a nice ring to it? Our next presenter is Sandra Halsman, Assistant Director of CURE. She's one of our alumni and holds an MPA, Master of Public Affairs, from SPIA from here. She's one of those staff members who's had experience both on the staff side and the faculty side, because she's been a long-time adjunct faculty member teaching courses in SPIA. Today, she will deliver a staff member's perspective on our theme today.
Hello, family. As our student body president was saying, we're all a family. And if you look around, you guys look good out there. If you take a picture of this, you look good out there. So, I need you to participate because I'm a teacher by heart, I'm a mother forever, and a grandmother of 10. Yes, I look good. I say that to say, oh, you don't look like a grandmother, and I just stand there and I just smile, and it's just wonderful. So, raise your hand if you've ever taken a class at IUN. Raise your hand if you've ever encouraged a family, keep them raised, if you've ever encouraged a family member, friend, neighbor to go to IUN. I'm talking about IUN. Look around at the room. We're going to have a conversation later on. And you can put your hands down, and if you're employed, so I mean, that's almost everything. And so, look around the room. We're going to have a session that's going to be like undercover boss, but we know the boss is in the room. But we really want to hear your opinion, because a lot of people, oh, they don't want to hear me. We really want to hear your opinion. And so I did that to say, everyone is committed and engaged. You know, walking over here, somebody was like, I'm trying to find the MR. I said, Merriam Hall. And so I took out time to walk the mother and daughter to Merriam Hall. Because was it more important to be just a few minutes late or to walk that mother and daughter to Merriam Hall so she could get that experience? And so I want to just say to the staff, you're committed. We have 20 Original Excellence. We have the adult education program, non-credit. It's a very popular program. So this student, this is not her name, Miranda leaves a message and she says, I'm interested in hospitality. So it took me a day to call Miranda back and I said, Miranda, how are you doing? This is Sandra Halsman from Indiana University Northwest, and if you've ever talked to me on the phone, that's a seller right there. And I said, this is Sandra Halsman from Indiana University Northwest, and I'm returning your call. And she says, wow. And so I'm thinking hospitality. She says, I'm interested in dental. I said, dental? I said, we have the #1 dental program. Do I work in dental? No, but we have the #1 dental program. I didn't tell that to Miranda. That is not her name. And so Miranda gets off the phone. She said, well, let me write down something. I said, because I'm getting ready to give you the contact information for dental. She gets off the phone and she says to somebody in her family, these people are on it. They returned my call. Now, I'm a day late returning her call. They returned my call right away. She comes back to the phone and she said, you are really on it. I called somebody else and they still haven't returned my call. So returning the call is important. And so I said, okay, we have a dental clinic right on campus. It's #1. You know, my personal dentist, he has hired somebody that came out of this dental program. I said, it's #1. And here's the number. Here's the contact information. So I get off the phone with Miranda, and the call has ended, but the experience will continue. And so we appreciate every time you stop to take that extra mile to tell the student where admissions is, because for some reason that's a popular place around here, and that's a good thing. We appreciate, even if you're out there doing yard work and you say, you know, can you help me? We appreciate 24-hour public safety on campus when we're locked out of our cars, and students, you know, I put that on my syllabus. 24 hours. This is a real police department. So we appreciate every effort. You know, I couldn't get up here and name things. There are people that have 40, 20, I don't know about 50 years. I mean, somebody may have 50 years here. But we appreciate your effort. And so Miranda hopefully connected with dental. And like I said, the call ended, but we want her experience to continue with IU. Thank you for this time.
Sandra, boy, you're a hard act to follow. Sorry, Chuck. Our next presenter is Chuck Allmeyer, president of the faculty organization. Chuck is a graduate of a regional campus and well understands the challenges and aspirations for faculty. Having had that experience, it gives him great insight into the types of things that impressed him when he was in school. And now he will comment on the faculty role in our conversation theme. Chuck.
Well, good morning. There's nothing to say now. I just have some brief comments. They're based on a few experiences I had in the last academic year. First, I was invited to participate in a faculty panel at the annual Facet Retreat last May. There were 3 of us. Robin Morgan, the Facet director, was asked to share her experiences teaching hybrid courses. Another Facet colleague was assigned the topic of teaching online courses. I was recruited to cover FTFs. I'm embarrassed to tell you that I had no idea what the hell FTFs were. So I had to contact the Facet office and ask what they were. I received an immediate reply and read a curt email, all in caps, with an exclamation point that said, face-to-face courses, Chuck. So I signed on. We had a very good turnout, which was surprising since the session was held at 8 a.m. on getaway day. I was asked to go first. I was pleased to see that my audience seemed to be enjoying my presentation. They were engaged, smiling, nodding their heads, exhibiting all the paralinguistic responses all of us monitor when we are teaching face-to-face courses. I even received compliments from several colleagues in the audience after the session was over. However, I was struck by the fact that during the Q&A, I didn't receive one single question. All the inquiries were directed at my fellow members of the panel. I felt like an anachronism in my own time. A few weeks later, I read an article 2020th issue of the New Yorker. The author was Nathan Heller, and the title of the article was Laptop Youth. It was fascinating, well written, provocative, and all about MOOCs. I love that acronym. MOOCs. I have to be honest, the first time I really knew what the hell that was too. However, I was even more intrigued when I read the letters to the editor in response to Heller's article in the mail section of a June issue of the New Yorker. Let me quickly read two of them for you. First one comes from an English professor at a college in Arizona. I teach remedial writing and can report from the academic hinterland that unprepared, impoverished, and first-generation students, the kinds of students we're trying to recruit to college, do not fare well in classes that rely heavily on technology. I devote an entire class at the beginning of the semester to teaching these basic skills, and yet some students maintain months later that they still don't get it. After 20 years of teaching, I am confident that what makes the most difference in the learning the lives of students is one-on-one instruction and the kind of human interaction that only traditional classroom settings can provide. MOOCs aren't about democratizing and furthering education. They're about saving money, making money, and keeping money in the corrupt marriage between business and the academy. The second one was written by the student, former student. I read Heller's article on MOOCs with a certain degree of horror. If I tried to imagine my education having been conducted online, I would now, at 43, be leading a much emptier life. My closest friends all date from years spent at school. This is not because we share a fascination with Keats, but because we spent thousands of hours together and with our professor mentors, and in this time we learned to trust and depend on each other. My degree matters much less than the fact that I now tap into a social network, which counts as a privilege. At a time when we are increasingly being asked to depend on ourselves rather than on institutions, I don't have to, because I attended a real school with real classrooms. With the growth of MOOCs, the rich will be given the time and space in which to make lifelong ties, while everyone else will be off in the ether, getting his or her first major lessons in life alone. Online education will serve to widen, not close, the class gap. I hope you're not interpreting my remarks as a defense of FTF courses and an attack on technology. And nothing could be further from the truth. I serve on the Blueprint Joint Programming Committee and was a co-leader of a workshop created to generate such online programs in the same fashion retreat I referred to earlier. I am proud of the work Paul Bloom and Angela Solik have already done to get IE Northwest online, and I'm confident that our new system director, Chris Young, with Angela's able assistance, will continue our goal to make us leaders in using technology to help our students be successful and complete their degrees. However, as the following quote from a pre-med student advisor, which was sent to me by my colleague Michael Point, should remind us, quote, the most important piece of technology available to advisors is the light switch we turn on every day when we enter our office to talk face-to-face with our students. We need to be present, visible, and available. The Scholarship on Teaching and Learning consistently demonstrates that when faculty members are present, when we practice FTL, when we are visible, our students do much better. We need to be careful and not simply depend on technology to perform our roles as professors. We cannot, and please excuse my using a 20th century expression, just phone it in. I have a junior colleague, Kevin, he's sitting right over there. Why don't you wave, Kevin, so I can embarrass you? Who holds office hours on days he teaches or days he doesn't teach. He understands that office hours and advising sessions need to be scheduled for the convenience of the students and not just for his own convenience. As a chair, I appreciate that very much. As a colleague, I admire it even more. Being present doesn't always have to be in the classroom or in our offices. We can be present by attending a women's volleyball game or a men's or women's basketball game. We can be present by participating in student events, attending plays, or simply walking around campus and saying hello to our students. If we engage in face-to-face encounters with our students, they will get to know us, and we will get to know them. Nothing makes me smile more when I see Michael Coit strolling around campus with a whole slew of students walking beside him and behind him, sort of like a Pied Piper of biology. Mike is usually talking, waving his arms, smiling or laughing, and his students some desperately trying to keep up with him, are doing the same. They are clearly engaged in scholarly discussions, they are enjoying themselves, and it always reminds me of the short time I spent teaching at a private residential university where I witnessed such scenes all the time. Now I know we are not a private residential university, and never will be, but if we are more visible, available, if we are present, if we practice MTF, our students will be more successful, and we can adopt a slogan or a tagline, if you will, that the blueprint for student attainment shows to discover. We can say, Indiana University Northwest, a private education at a public price. Thanks for listening, and thanks for being present.
Thank you, Mr. President. Now I'd like to present my co-chair of the organizing committee for this event, Dr. George Lewis, Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs, who will introduce the chancellor. Good morning, everyone. And again, welcome to the inaugural State of the Campus Report. At this time, I have the honor of introducing the Chancellor of Indiana University Northwest, Dr. William Lowe. Traditionally, in the Chancellor's introduction, I would normally highlight the Chancellor Lowe's outstanding academic and career history, which would include degrees from 2 countries. It would include administrative and academic posts at colleges and universities in at least 5 states. It would also include a significant amount of community engagement and charitable endeavors. However, I won't talk about those things that I just talked about. That being said, I do think it's most fitting for me to introduce our campus leader in a way that illustrates how Chancellor Lowe embodies our theme today, and that theme is Every Student Matters. First of all, Chancellor Lowe demonstrates that every student matters by supporting faculty and staff. Examples of this support come by way of the Chancellor Lowe's implementation of a salary policy that has assisted us in rectifying some of the salary imbalances compared to our peer institutions. Additionally, with Chancellor Lowe's championing the Campus Conversation on Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion initiative, the outcomes of that initiative indicate success in better diversifying our workforce on campus. Next, as a result of Chancellor Lowe's leadership and concern for the safety of students and for faculty and staff as well, a new traffic signal was activated on the intersection of Broadway and 34th. I think we can clap for that. A welcome addition to our neighborhood by all. And as we all know, due to a flood, we have a green space that the entire campus community had an opportunity to provide feedback on the future of that space. But a presentation by a group of students followed by their subsequent participation on a green space committee will result in a future green space that largely reflects the student ideas. And furthermore, related to student engagement, Chancellor Lowe has accepted a recommendation and supported student participation in campus governance by having the Student Government Association president serve on the IUN Northwest Council. And while I have many more examples that I can give, the last I will right now is that Chancellor Lowe encourages all of us to be creative in providing opportunities for every student, every demographic, veterans, students of color, non-traditional students, students who might be gay, first-generation students, honor students, transfer, out-of-state students, you name it. The Chancellor has provided leadership and has set another example by providing funding and support for the additional student scholarships and other various efforts so more students can have the opportunity to attend and graduate from Indiana University Northwest. Again, there was more I could say, but my time is limited. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our campus leader to deliver the campus address. Let's give a warm IU Northwest welcome to Dr. William Lowe, Chancellor of IU Northwest.
Thank you very much, George. good welcome, and welcome back to the 2013-14 academic year. And as I get started, I would just like to acknowledge my wife Pamela, who's here with us today, and many of you know. And I hope that you all were able to see some time to relax during the late spring and summer months. If you've been involved in student recruitment, orientation, financial aid registration, and advising, it has of course been a busy and productive time, and thank you for those crucial efforts. And I well remember, along with my faculty, with many of my faculty colleagues, how important the time between the end of spring semester and the beginning of small fall semester is for making progress on scholarly and creative work. However, you have spent the last several months, welcome back to what promises to be a very busy, fully engaged academic year. It does not seem like I could be starting my fourth year at IUN Northwest, but year by year, I discover that time simply does not last like it once did, which I'm hoping does not have anything to do with getting older. But this year, we are trying something different to kick off the academic year by combining two venerable academic traditions: an inaugural campus gathering and a free lunch. Now, after my first 2 years at IUN Northwest, there were ready-made opportunities to share something resembling the Chancellor's annual report with the campus community. When I prepared presentations for the Indiana Commission for Higher Education in 2011 and the Indiana University Board of Trustees last year, when each held meetings on our campus, we will plan to post today's remarks as well. And in past years, we had an employee picnic, a tradition that continues with today's lunch. Now, please join me in thanking the ad hoc group of colleagues that planned today's activities: Sabir Bandiapade, Patrick Bankston, Jerry Gabbert, George Lewis, David Malik, and Kathy Malone. The enrollment revenue picture at IUN Northwest is always a central background for everything that we do, and naturally of perennial interest to colleagues. Enrollments for fall semester 2013 are very promising, and so far on target to support our fiscal year 2014 budget. At the end of June, I shared my annual message about the campus budget process and the financial picture. We can thank the Enrollment Management Group, co-chaired by Vice Chancellors Malik and Lewis, for helping to create a sound basis for our growth plans. But you will recall that achieving a balanced budget for all of our budget managers required all of our budget managers and responsibility centers to look very carefully at expenditures and commitments. I am, on behalf of our campus and students, sincerely grateful for your hard work and the savings that it produced, which not only balanced our operating budget, but created resources for two important investments: the salary increase pool at the maximum amount authorized by Indiana University, and staffing to support Vice Chancellor Gabbert's efforts to revitalize the Office of University Advancement and External Affairs to raise money in support of IUN Northwest students and programs. The Budget Committee will assess the campus's reserve dollars to determine other one-time projects to which we can commit during 2013-14. I think that all of us who are associated with the budget process are grateful for the leadership provided by our Chief Financial Officer, Mary Ann Millich, who very skillfully and productively balances financial responsibility and attention to the bottom line with recognition of the importance of making solid, strategic investments when and where we are able. Overall, we begin the academic year in a sound position, but with severe pressure on state-appropriated and tuition revenues, our financial situation is still delicate and susceptible to the structural volatility in the larger environment, which more and more often requires us to respond quickly and adaptively. Responsible stewardship of our resources in unpredictable times demands that we scrutinize all of our commitments and expenditures to be sure that they are deployed effectively. And we must, at all times, be prepared to respond to questions from those to whom we are accountable. For these reasons, I've asked the leadership of the principal financial responsibility centers to prepare for the fiscal year 15 campus budget process by conducting a thorough expenditure review to be sure that our resources are being used well and we can answer questions about our decisions and commitments. This review is also a way to broaden and deepen the role of the responsibility centers and other colleagues in the campus budget process as we prepare for the future. Now, the purpose of the budget process is to enable IUN Northwest to fulfill our educational mission and vision, guided by our strategic priorities, all of which are aligned with Indiana University's mission and principles of excellence. Our strategic priorities reflect our shared conviction and today's overall theme that every student matters. Our strategic priorities are student academic success as our primary mission and purpose, an academic experience grounded in curriculum, teaching, and scholarly excellence, community-based engagement that supports student learning, faculty scholarship, and regional development, an outstanding institutional infrastructure, investment in campus human resources, and financial planning that supports long-term student success. Our educational mission and purpose and strategic priorities are all reflected in the three organizing themes for today's meeting and group discussions, as well as the academic year and beyond. Student academic success, faculty scholarly and creative achievement, and community-based engagement. Colleges and universities, of course, have always been devoted to students' academic success and completion of their degrees. It will always be our mission, focus, and priority, which is reflected in increasing collaborative efforts across IU campuses, guided by the Blueprint for Student Attainment, itself a regional campus collaboration to which many IU Northwest colleagues contribute. But the very public completion agenda, with the accompanying intensification of critical attention and calls for accountability, reminds us that IU Northwest is called upon every day to do something very difficult, very well. Please note, for example, the sweeping proposals President Obama outlined yesterday. Ours is by almost any variable Indiana University's most diverse campus and one of the most diverse campuses in Indiana. Fall semester 2013 may be the term we enroll at least 50% students of color. 2/3 of our students will be women, and probably at least 1/3 will be attending on a part-time basis. Even our full-time undergraduates will likely be registered for about 13 semesters, which reflects not only high levels of student financial need, but the range of employment, family, and other responsibilities around which so many of our students arrange their studies at IU Northwest. The diversity of our region, student population, and employees makes our continuing campus conversation on diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is led by our principal campus governance body, the IU Northwest Council, a continuing priority. And we can point to some results of which we can be very proud. Collaboration between the Director of Affirmative Action and the Executive Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs has contributed to an impressive hiring record. Since July 2010, for example, 78% of our new colleagues have been women and people of color. Following up on our 2011 and 12 salary reviews, we are making more effective use of the position reclassification process to be sure that colleagues are appropriately compensated and recognized for the work that they actually do. Nearly 2/3 of the successful reclassifications have affected women and colleagues of color. The One Book, One Campus, One Community project is entering its second year, and in its first two iterations has focused on authors who engage issues of diversity. I urge all colleagues to find ways to read this year's selection, The House on Mango Street by Sandra Halsman, participate in discussions and other events on campus, and if you're a faculty member, find a way to incorporate this very manageable read in your courses. One Book, One Campus, One Community is a good reminder that engaging issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion is part of each of our campus roles. We owe it to our students and to ourselves, to the future of our campus. So please join the conversation by seizing opportunities such as One Book, One Campus, One Community. We're all familiar with the sometimes colossal efforts that our students devote each semester to making progress toward completing their degrees. When I see all of the major national goals for bachelor's degrees, whether from President Obama or the Indiana-based Lumina Foundation, I am every time reminded that it is our students, IU Northwest students and those at the other IU regional campuses, who must succeed if any of these goals are to be at all meaningful or achievable. When I think about the complexities of enabling significantly more of our very diverse students to complete their degrees, doing something very difficult, very well, I think that it is anything but a cliche to observe that because every student matters, our students' academic success is the primary job of each of us. Each of us touches the student experience in important, distinctive, and very personal ways. Among the investments we must make in behalf of student academic success are the changes in how we do things that will make a substantive difference for our students. We already have several initiatives in motion, including urgent attention to reliable advisement relationships that connect students to their academic programs and IUN Northwest to ensure that the members of this year's large entering class have the support and guidance that enables them to successfully persist to degree completion. When welcoming the students at orientation this summer, I have urged them to stay in touch with their advisors. So the advisors among you should plan and prepare to hear from them. Our new students will also find a programmatic first-year student experience, and there will be a welcoming, responsive environment for all of our students, including transfer students, veterans, and adult learners generally. If every student matters, everything that each of us does every day matters, and has to count toward enabling our students to be successful. We simply cannot afford anything that does not count toward student academic success. And as part of this morning's program, you'll have the opportunity to talk with your colleagues about how we can position IUN Northwest to even more effectively let all of our students know that each of them matters and that their academic success is our primary concern. Our faculty colleagues, of course, have the lead role in enabling IUN Northwest students to achieve academic success. Academic Affairs invests in their success as teachers through the professional development activities sponsored by the Centers of Innovation and Scholarship of Teaching and Learning. And faculty invest in themselves through membership at FACET, IU's Faculty's Global on Excellence in Teaching. Offering a high-quality academic experience online, for example, requires careful preparation and reflection on one's teaching. And IUN Northwest faculty have responded with characteristic enthusiasm to an intriguing challenge that already has resulted in one of the fastest-growing online course offerings in the university. I have long been an advocate for the teacher-scholar ideal, which to me means faculty colleagues who are effective teachers, active scholars, and scholarly about their teaching. An active program of scholarly or creative activities animates good teaching and creates opportunities for our students to have the experience, the faculty guidance and encouragement of being scholars at work. The hard, satisfying work of researching with creative endeavors is, for a regional campus, well supported by the Academic Affairs Office, including the Summer Faculty Fellows Program, which funded 18 2013 summer fellows. Our faculty colleagues are well equipped and prepared to offer an exciting, compelling, and challenging learning experience to our students. As I told the IUN trustees last year, IUN Northwest is the best example of the teacher-scholar ideal with which I've been associated during my career, and a few figures illustrate why that is the case. In the last year alone, annual reports show that our 120 tenured and tenure-track faculty and 50 lecturer and clinical faculty colleagues have continued to be very productive. Among scholarly works published and accepted are 100 articles, 14 books, 18 book chapters, and 93 other scholarly pieces. Our faculty made 400 conference presentations. 78 digital media exhibits and theater productions were published, presented, completed, or installed. And there were 238 examples of engagement and service to the scholarly enterprise and professional associations. These are impressive figures at a regional comprehensive campus. I'm very proud of the accomplishments of our fine teacher scholars. Everyone at IUN Northwest can take pride in what our faculty colleagues year after year achieve and have confidence in what they bring to our students. Our faculty of teacher scholars is at the core of the IUN Northwest academic mission and purpose, but another and closely related priority of our campus is the tradition of community-based engagement, to which in recent years we have redoubled our commitment. What is clear is that community-based engagement, when linked to students' academic programs, creates high-impact learning experiences, which by itself should make it an integral part of their academic mission and purpose. But community-based engagement has significance even beyond what it contributes to student learning. The health, quality of life, and future of the communities where our students live is a mutual interest of our campus and the Northwest Indiana region. IU Northwest and the communities that we serve count on each other and have a stake in each other's successes. A thriving IU Northwest contributes to regional revitalization in the same way that a prosperous region enhances the campus's success. IU Northwest is an anchor in Northwest Indiana, and we have a public obligation to devote our human and intellectual resources, including our students, 81,000 annual service hours, to advance the region in ways that, at the same time, co-create approaches to regional issues that result in high-impact, real-world learning experiences for our students and our opportunities for applied, community-based research with faculty colleagues. Many individual colleagues and students have community-based relationships that result in service and project commitments that we also have a front door for engagement through the IU Northwest Center for Urban and Regional Excellence. The center has the energetic leadership of Dr. Halsman, and as we heard earlier, Sandra Halsman, underlining energy, and a few examples several of which were shared with the Board of Trustees earlier this month, give an idea of the character, range, and impacts of IU Northwest community-based engagement. In 2011, IU Northwest received national recognition by partnering with the Indiana Bar Foundation to co-sponsor the first Indiana Civic Health Index, and has secured a grant for a follow-up study that will be carried out by IU Northwest faculty, colleagues, and their students. Dr. Joe Ferrandino and the students have been assisting a growing number of Northwest Indiana police departments, fire departments, and a local ambulance service with incident data analysis and GIS mapping to enable them to more effectively deploy their resources. In a unique collaboration with the South Shore Arts Organization, faculty and students from social work, nursing, and public policy worked on a middle school substance abuse prevention program that integrates art instruction. The Center for Urban and Regional Excellence worked with the IU Bloomington School of Public and Environmental Affairs on an independent fiscal policy analysis for Lake County Council with an emphasis on contemporary planning methods to achieve long-term fiscal health. School of Business students annually work with community residents in the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program and area businesses through the Small Business Institute. College of Health and Human Services and IU School of Medicine students provide free health checks for University Park residents and serve their clinical placements throughout the region. This sample of IU Northwest programs demonstrates a commitment to engagement that reflects authentic mutuality of interests that come together in the co-creation of approaches to community-based issues, which earns the campus credibility in the communities that support us. The Urban League of Northwest Indiana's Community Relations Award this past spring is an encouraging indicator that IU Northwest is increasingly recognized for its active presence in Northwest Indiana communities where our students reside. And our community partnerships are showing tangible results. Mayor Karen Freeman Wilson in the city of Gary, for example, are finalizing the University Park Plan, an idea that has been discussed for a quarter century, which makes the IU Northwest neighborhood the primary focus for redevelopment investments. The plan is in motion, and the results of demolition and renovation work are already visible around the campus. The replacement of Tamarack Hall is a critical component of the University Park Plan, as well as for IU Northwest's future, and the mayor actively advocated for Indiana University's successful request during the 2013 legislative session, which is an example of why community-based engagement is not only the right thing to do, but also builds relationships that have very practical value. Last month's approval of a new academic building to replace Tamarack Hall is wonderful news for IU Northwest, and we are grateful to the legislature and the governor for their endorsements, and also to Indiana University, which over the last 5 years maintained replacing Tamarack as one of its highest capital priorities. We do not yet have many details about the project, but we look forward to what promises to be an exciting and consultative process. But we must not overlook the more than $5 million in other repair and renovation projects on which Vice Chancellor Pellicciati and his colleagues are working during 2013 and 14. The improvements include projects that are already planned using IUN Northwest's own resources, as well as new dollars appropriated by the legislature that will enable us to, among other things, renovate restrooms in Hawthorne, Braintree, Maryland, and Moraine halls, replace the Hawthorne elevators, improve campus drainage, and convert the former child care center for office use. And there's also the campus green space at the Tamarack Hall site. Architects have been assigned consultative planning based on ideas and preferences that were developed last year by members of the campus community who will be used shortly. To wrap up this summer, I think that in a still difficult environment, IUN Northwest is building a sound, bright future for our campus that enhances the larger Northwest Indiana region. As our new and returning students arrive for classes next week, I'm very confident that they can look forward to a wonderful academic experience. But please remember, as our students once again arrive on the campus, that each of those students matters, and the good work that each of us counts, enabling each of them to have a successful, satisfying academic career with us. So thank you for turning out today, and all the best as we begin.